Well, thanks, Janet, for being an important part of the poetry scene here in Chicago.
Yahoo!
Now, you may all know Janet Kuypers as the host of the Cafe Gallery open mic here. And maybe you know her as a magazine publisher, but as a writer, her last large book release of new poetry was in 1997, 17 long years ago. So after all this time, and after working with acquaintance-rate women's groups, and learning a lot from traveling around the world, Janet has just released today 2 huge poetry collection books. There's even little prose and performance art writings in them, and this poetry does reveal a lot about Janet.
Uh-oh.
Now, this book name idea originally came from the cover art being edited from Janet's mammogram x-rays. So, for the partial nudity book release, give it up for Janet Kuypers.
Something about the you get to see the inside of my brush, I guess, because that's and I can't reach my books, but they're all down there right now. I want to thank you all very much. Yes, I've got 2 big books, and as I was doing it, because I thought I've got too much stuff for just one. Then originally it was Partial Nudity, Janet Kuypers Revealed, and I'm like, well, why don't I just call them Partial Nudity and Revealed? But then as I'm going along, I'm like, nobody's going to want to buy a big old book. I'll just make little mini books out of them. And so I made a bunch of little 108-page books about translations of things about rape and life and death stuff, or dreams, poems, or things that are news related. And I have all these things in different colors. I have Twitterati, because we're the tweet elite if you have really short poems. And because a lot of you have seen it, I've got 100 haikus. And I was telling everybody that I have, because they were just released today, 2 proof copies of each of these. Actually, one of them's already been sold, but because they're proof copies, yes, some of them have typos in them and stuff like that. Although you do get a cool page in the back that says it's proof copy, and it's the only one like it, so they don't exist like that no more. So I would say if anybody's interested in any of these books, which I can't hold up and display, but they're all just piled over there right now. All the little 108-page ones, they're normally $6 with $3.60 shipping and handling. I'll say you can have them for $5 a pop tonight. And the big old collection books are normally $15 and $16 with shipping, but I would say I would say 12, but that means you'd have to give singles, so I might just say 10. And if you like me and you want me to sign it or something, I have no idea. One thing that you can't do in a book is have music. And because I've been doing that a lot now, and I didn't do that in my book stuff in 1997, I was going to incorporate music into the 4 pieces that I'm going to do tonight. 2 now, and then we're going to have our guerrilla haiku things, because I want all you guys coming up and reading haikus, because I think that's hysterically awesome. But this first poem was actually written in 2005. It is in Partial Nudity. I wish I had it, but you get the idea with the cover by seeing it there. But you see all the other little covers scattered around everywhere. This is I was trying to come up with music, and sometimes John does it live, and he said, but I don't know how to guitar, I don't know, and I'm like, why don't you pull out your little phone and come up with some kick-ass percussion, because you can't afford to bring the old drum set in, so maybe you'll pull that off for me.
Who is it?
It's Tribal Scream. I know what goes on in your head. I know all those characters you've created. I know all the hell in your past. I know the mishmash of everything crammed into your head. And I know a part of that is killing you. And I want you to let it all out. And I want you to just open your mouth and let out a tribal, never-ending scream. Because I know you. I know you got too much life in you. I know you got a carbonated soul. And I know that one good scream would let you pop the top of you like a bottle of Coca-Cola. bubbles of compressed air would be coming out from your mouth in your tribal scream. I wonder what characters you would spill out. I wonder what you would do when you saw what you rejected, what you screamed out. I wonder if you'd see parts of your past, and I wonder if you'd know that they were a part of you, and try to stuff them back in. I've never had like a... So, and now we're gonna have to carry all of that percussion stuff in, all that heavy moving of stuff, because I have the full drum set in my hand. drum set, music. I have no idea on the volume level on this stuff, but this next piece is actually a piece that was inspired by writing from Vittorio Curley. He wrote the thing. I started writing this when, and with every single one, he would go into this whole long story, this whole big old explanation, and I thought that's a really kind of a cool idea, but I took it in a different direction. I decided to make a bunch of little statements, and every single little statement would actually be a quote from something I had previously written. So, the music that you're going to hear in the background, I hope the volume level is, we'll have to see how it works, is from the Homeland of South Africa. It is called Marimba Jest, which you actually see there, but I'm going to, I think that's got it. So this is, I started writing this poem when, I started writing this poem when the umbilical cord was cut, even though I should know better, and it was never close enough to you. I started writing this poem when I scratched, when I had the chicken pox. I started writing this poem when I took the final swig of vodka and reached for the bottle to pour myself another. I started writing this poem when I found myself trying to make excuses. I started writing this poem when I wiped the makeup off my eyelids and wondered who I was trying to impress. I started writing this poem when I met you, the man who rapes my sisters. You, the man who rapes me. I started writing this poem when I pulled out a fountain pen and wrote till my fountain pen ran dry. I started writing this poem when the Pope gave a thank you to women who work, because we do more than our fair share without fair pay, and we prove ourselves to who over and over again. I started writing this poem when I belched out loud and laughed too hard, swore too much, and grew up too fast. I started writing this poem when I felt that feeling in my chest, right between my lungs, like someone was pressing right against the bone there, right there by your heart. I started writing this poem when I looked at the clock. It was 15 minutes before I had to take another pill. I started writing this poem when I realized that nothing changes, nothing stays the same. I started writing this poem when you took my thoughts again, shoved them into your mouth again, and spit them back at me again. And you told me what I already know. I started writing this poem when you rolled your sultry, deep voice over me like a wave of heat on a summer afternoon. I started writing this poem when I felt that breeze, hot and sticky, hit me in just the wrong way. I started writing this poem when you needed a leader, so I stepped up to the plate. I started writing this poem when I knew who they were coming for. I started writing this poem when I threw out into the open my screams, my cries for help so much faster than I could before. I started writing this poem when he said, when somebody eats one of you, word gets around. I started writing this poem when I found a method of fighting more direct, slower, more painful, more personal. I started writing this poem when I realized that somebody had to die for these. I started writing this poem when the cuts into my hands dripped blood onto the street. I started writing this poem when I'd walk down that street in the city again and it looked like a Quentin Tarantino movie where everybody's pointing guns at each other. I started writing this poem when, after years of putting the 9mm on the line, of knowing the base of the neck was always the best place, my only thought was, aim carefully. I started writing this poem when the only choice we had was to destroy ourselves. I started writing this poem when I drizzled cream into my coffee, watching it form a mushroom cloud within that contained bomb, when you just died. I started writing this poem when you took me down into that casket with you, where I felt the coldness of winter all around me, and I could hear them shoveling the dirt over my head. I started writing this poem when I survived the blizzards, the hurricanes, the tornadoes. I'd lived through the drought. I'd survived it all. I've even survived a near fatal blow from humanity. I started writing this poem when Dachau's gas chambers worked every morning as snow fell on ashes. I started writing this poem when my mother died. That's when the forest fire started and the whole forest burned down. But I started writing this poem when I had to get closer. Because I started writing this poem when the universe was always expanding. I needed to write to fill in the ever-expanding spaces. I started writing this poem when all I could do was turn my fingers black, scouring the newspaper, searching for the right words. I started writing this poem when I wasn't occupying Wall Street. I just wanted to occupy your mind. You see, I started writing this poem when slamming my hands, my fingers against that keyboard. I was doing this because there were too many atrocities in the world, too many injustices that I had witnessed, too many people who had wronged me, and I had a lot of work to do. I started writing this poem when there was a spirituality behind it. It is something I do because I must, and I could not exist any other way. And that means lucky kids. This is for everybody who has a poem racked up and ready to read. This is for the second part of the open mic where I get to get all of you involved in this. This is the section I call Guerrilla Haiku Readings. I call it that because people, you just walk up here and just take over the mic and then give me something and I'll read it because I'll have really no plan for anything. John's even got one that he's going to do, and I have no idea. And you know, I know that's my font for this whole thing, but that doesn't really look like gorilla, you know. There's nothing. Do I have something angry? What does somebody have? Yeah, well, yeah, it's something. I can use it for the, but I'll have to go back. I will, but I don't know if I should be. And I also have some on video, but I want people to actually come on up here and do it, and then I'll have a clue as to what is supposed to be read. I can. Should I start with something, or does anybody have a clue how I should do this? Anybody? 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 Of course not. I will start
with me.
Oh, well, great. And then I'm going to, actually, I'm going to also let you know, come on up here, my darling. The music I'm playing in the background for this is actually music from Andy Derryberry of the D&J Art Connection. Careful for
You can stay.
Careful for my ear.
Here.
Yeah, that's my little, I'm like, I can move it out of the way. But I'm letting everybody know that the D&J Art Connection, people from the Nashville area, are actually setting up tracks of other people reading my stuff, and it was going to be released on something called Other Voices. So I'm going to be playing music from Andy Derryberry in the background, which is really groovy cool. And who knows, maybe John will come up and play some bass because he's awesome in between or something. I don't know, we just need to have something live in it, because every once in a while I do stuff. So yeah, this is the Gorilla Haiku readings. And I said the camera's around, so kind of closer to this part.
Camera's around. So, I'm here. All right. This is a poem called Fog. Fog envelops me. It's a thick, powerful force that doesn't let go.
You heard bits of this. This is evil. Like cream in coffee, evil explodes into a mushroom cloud and spreads.
Job. I've got my degree. I've filled out applications. So where's my dream job?
Oh, you got it. Right here. This is not the one you're getting paid for.
This is Keith.
I got that kind of a dream job.
When he'd come home late, I'd cut a piece of clear tape. Tape the keyhole shut.
Explosions. H-bomb explosions reach temperatures as hot as the first second of the universe.
This is elusive. 94% of the universe is dark, elusive to me.
Universe. There are more atoms in your eye than all stars in the known universe. Is that James's?
That's amazing. No, well, no, think about that. There are more atoms in your eye. Wow, sorry. This is called happiness. I thought this was interesting. Before scientists knew the law of gravity, the word just felt grave. Trapped, she felt a chill like a goose walked on her grave. She chokes with his touch. I have to take showers, scrub skin, rip out organs to rid myself of you.
This is called free. I ain't got money, and what do you mean to me when nothing's for free?
Jobless. People ask for change, but you're jobless, have no money. What do you do then?
Arsenic and syphilis. Arsenic was used in pre-penicillin days to treat syphilis.
What? That sounds like good science, doesn't it? This is killed. They tried to kill me, but I survived. Lucky me. But what have I won?
You get to do that one again.
I heard my mom's coincidence. I heard my mom's dad did odd jobs for the mom. My dad's dad poured concrete.
I am going to actually fall. This is Cage. This pain in my chest heaves. My heart pounds, throbs. It's like it's trapped in a cage.
Pent. Waves are crashing, and the moon's phases are changing to a rhythmic pant.
This is groove. To you, I'm vinyl. Your needle's been in my groove through every ridge, pore.
Blood. Left with you there, I watched us become bloodthirsty animals.
This is nightmares. I don't want beauty or tons of money. I just want the nightmares to stop. They're also excited to read. I'm not getting any of the videos, so they're gonna have to be at the end.
You can feel me now, rushing, swirling to your neck, opening your mouth.
Wow. Vapor trail.
You can feel my rush, chilling your teeth. Lick your lips. You can't escape me.
There's no wild Yahoo.
I know, I have it spelled wrong there, that's why I give you, I know. It's just in close, and I'm like, that's why I'm like, I'm giving it to you, yeah. I know, it's just.
This is a found haiku. It uses one word that you might need explanation. Ananerva was a Nazi institution to research the origins of the Aryan race. Himmler wanted the Ananerva to prove Jesus wasn't a Jew.
Turned into a Scandinavian 10,000 years after it died.
This one's called Love, and it seemed fitting. Hitler's first love was for a young Jewish girl that he never spoke to.
Destroy. Nothing can be pure when you destroy purity. My choice is silence.
Flowers on the water broke the oil seeping up from the submarine grave.
You work harder than men for less pay. So, keep up the good work, ladies.
Tying up loose ends, she paid bills, bought her son clothes. Then she killed herself.
I am the predator, with no blade, no defenses. I am blindfolded.
This is years. I am worn down lately. No, it's the other way.
I am the
Go forward.
predator.
It's the anarchy, he says. There we go. Here, this is yours, and it's not Bruce Manson. Sorry. I'm worn down lately from carrying your spirit all these years alone.
Amazing how much of your life you can fit in a single suitcase.
The police code was played out to warn everyone. Haiku in progress.
I never really liked you, but now I can't get you out of my head.
Fitting continuation of this run. Although I hate you, I'll never let go. So you'll have to run faster.
Guide. Like all lambs to the slaughter, I always guide them to their destiny.
Human beings are the only creatures with thought. That's why we have gods.
Clothes. Death's an animal perched under your bed, waiting for you to close your eyes.
This is knowing. Fallen to my knees, I can feel my chest cave in, knowing it's my time.
Difference. When putting same clothes on angels and demons, you can't tell them apart.
Some stores sort Bibles along with books for sale as fiction. And why not? I'm going to do this before I get Oz Hardwick up here. He's in Leeds, he's in the UK, he can't make it here for this, so this is Ants and Crosses. Ants aren't Christians. There aren't tiny crosses shoved in tops of anthills.
In church, children are little soldiers behind their mummies and daddies.
I am going to end on a final haiku, so we have that for that. This is the one that's most haiku-like. This is called No. How does the light feel once you know the truth? Alone in a darkened room. I had a few more, but I think we're at such an overload of haikus that I'm like, nope, not gonna have any more. That's plenty, and thank you very much. And I've got to go back to my regular, hey, there's my regular typeface.
It just seemed weird to have, I'm sorry, being silly.
It's a nice concept, I like it very much.
Pardon me?
I said it's a nice concept, and I like the idea that you recorded some people ahead of time. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, they couldn't make it, and the first one was Oz, and he's like, I'm in town. I'm like, then read something on the street. So, I have two more, count two. Oddly enough, this next piece is a piece that was also inspired by something I heard from Vittorio Carli. It's not really about his. I think the poem was The Trouble with Librarians or something like that. But I just heard little tiny pieces of it, and it made me think of going to do this. And the piece is a long piece, and it's called My Brain Was. And like the other poem, it all starts with my brain was, and it talks about how your brain thinks about things as they go through life. And this is a really long piece. This is my most recent piece I've written. It's really, really long, and there's no way I'm reading it all to you, but I'm giving you a couple pieces from it. The thing I think is really funny is the music from the Holland of South Africa is in the background, and the title of the piece that he's playing is called The Story I Am Trying to Tell, which I thought was just perfect for this. This is called My Brain Was. My brain was fighting to get out. My brain was doing everything it could to shut itself off, but no one could ever drink enough when rape, while intoxicated, is still rape. My brain was smarter than the men out there who expected me to lift my shirt for them. I went to the parades, I got the beads. For once, the men were objectified when I, from my balcony, made men strip for beads at Mardi Gras. My brain was getting moral, contemplating the sacredness of animals around the world, when my brain made the conscious choice to no longer kill them, or even ask others to kill them for me. My brain was calibrating the wind speed on this rocky red range until, during the dead of winter, after seeing no one for miles on Utah's Arches National Park, the decision was made. Get in the lotus position, naked, and meditate on a mountaintop until the wind was just too cold. By then it was time to get dressed and hike back to civilization. My brain was scanning the rolling Montana roads, not seeing cars or cops for miles. My brain gave my foot the okay to floor it, and for miles the speedometer went as high as it could until my brain was satiated and I brought the car speed back down to 90 out in the middle of nowhere. My brain was waiting for everyone to start driving as the light had just turned green. My brain registered from the rear view mirror a car speeding toward me. My brain went into survival mode, turned the wheel of my car to save the motorcyclist's life in front of me before my car skidded for 108 feet. And my mother had to come to the hospital I was born in to identify a body. My brain was struggling to piece back together a life it lost. Make those connections. You've done this before, my brain kept telling myself. My brain got my lungs to start breathing again. And after they removed that feeding tube, my brain had to rationalize eating again. It was like a chant from my brain. Get out of that wheelchair. Stand on your feet. You have places to go. This isn't how it's supposed to be. My brain was contemplating philosophy because on this first date, we talked philosophy half the night. And I let him kiss me goodnight. My brain was, for one day, allowing me to feel like a princess. Look, I'm getting married today. Someone else will take care of it. My brain's done enough for this. Let me be happy. My brain was determined to get to the top of that mountain. I know I'm not a climber. I know I prefer hot tubs, but those ski lifts are closed, and these are the Alps. And really, how many times will you get the chance to climb the Alps? My brain knows you're only wearing sandals and socks, and there's snow and water everywhere. But really, this is your only chance. My brain felt like a heel being carried past the last water pit coming down from that mountain. But looking back, my brain was pleased. It had to try. My brain was trying to remember how to breathe, turning my head, hoping I could catch my breath as the atmosphere was pushing me at 120 miles per hour before someone pulled the ripcord on my parachute. My brain was thrown into journalism mode after the levees broke from Hurricane Katrina. The water poured in and ocean waves were frozen into the street. I pulled out the camera, snapped photos of one house after another, some burnt to embers, while most were spray painted with destruction notices and evacuation premonitions. My brain was racking itself, trying to figure out what to do, how to be healthy, so I may not die the way my mother did. My brain was consciously calculating constellations I had never seen before in the southern hemisphere. And the constellation I coined the Martini, because it was shaped like a martini glass, was actually Phoenix, the most prominent constellation in the southern sky. After my brain was searching for any way to cool down during the hottest Indy 500 in decades, my brain was, afterwards, edging out men's outstretched hands. My brain knew Jack Nicholson would rather high-five a female, and so he did. My brain was keeping me awake again last night, thinking about what went down during the day or what I gotta do tomorrow. My brain's always thinking of new places, contemplating new challenges, opting for new options. I lie awake and I think, that's my brain for you, always looking for something new. you didn't hear it all. It was like, I'm adding another verse, wait, I'm adding another one. I'm like, no, gotta turn that.
Was that just a fourth of it, or?
Maybe closer to half.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but it's still long. And I don't normally do things like that. This is the last piece that I'm going to make you guys suffer with. And I was trying to find out, like, I'll find older pieces and shorter ones and new ones and all that kind of stuff. But this, and I wanted to have music for it, and no, I've had 2 pieces from the Highway of South Africa, and I've had music from the DMGR Connection, and I have people from Ohio and other places, and John do stuff, and I'm like, I have, you know what, excuse me. I even had Peter Bertels music with my stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've got stuff from 5D, because they've done an album and an EP with me. So I'm going to end on a piece that I think actually I read 4 years ago at my feature on my birthday at the cafe. I think I read this there, but I had different music. Victor Sanders did live music, but anyway, sorry. This is actually something that was written in 2010. And I hope this works. And I hope you like the music. Wooden Glass from 5D. This is called Keep Them Apart. They say headlights run in parallel lines. They never touch. But you know, we humans try to recreate science and we never get it right. And I don't care how many miles it takes, I don't care how long it takes, but eventually they will touch, they will cross, they will intermingle for one brief moment. You think you've done everything you can. You think they're meant to stay apart. You did everything humanly possible to keep them apart. But they'll come together, trust me. It doesn't matter where that car is traveling, to Colorado, through Utah, to California, to Las Vegas, even through Texas, past New Orleans. It doesn't matter if we have to kick people out of your home. And it doesn't matter if we have to act like nothing is going on. Because at some point, no matter how far away, no matter how remote, we'll get together. Even if it's to only cross each other and then go our separate ways.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And if I knew who on earth was next, I could just start up an open mic. Thank you very much. I hope you guys thought it was cool. Thank you very much for reading stuff, because you guys are awesome.